talked a little bit about the standard in the room. Maybe you heard the head coach talking about Rich Angulo, the Jaguars tight ends coach, and how good he is. And Quentin Morris echoed that sentiment.
Again, like you said, like there's no drop off the tight end. Like that's kind of the culture that's been built in the room. Like guys are going to be physical and they're going to strain. And, we love for it to show up in the game. And, that's going to pop big runs.
Johnny Munt has had a couple of big plays in recent weeks. Quentin Morris has, and then of course they get Strange back. Yeah. Just a shout out to Rich Angulo. Were you here playing with him? Were you teammates, or did you guys miss by a year?
I think we might have missed by a year.
Okay, he was here for a couple of seasons. Yep. Big guy, talented guy. Not a star by any stretch of the imagination, but he's done a nice job with that room.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, look, and it's kind of the identity of this football team that you want to be tough, you want to be physical. That's a tough physical position. But again, Brenton Strange just adds so many different elements. But these other guys got a lot of quality playing time. And, you're going to get injuries, Austen. Who knows? Hopefully Strange stays on the field. But the way they want to run the ball, all these tight ends are going to be called upon this year.
No, without a doubt. And shout out to Quentin Morris, who I felt like kind of had a coming out party a little bit in the run game against the Chargers. I mean, they ran a lot of split zone. Basically means you put the tight end on an island and say, go take the defensive end or linebacker one-on-one. And if you miss, people are going to know that you missed. He didn't miss against the Chargers, man. I think he's actually bought himself some more playing time simply because of his run blocking. And now you pair that with Brenton Strange, who we know is a great run blocker. It's a deadly combination.
Story this week has been 57 pass attempts for Jacoby Brissett in Arizona, 47 completions, an NFL record. The Jaguars ran the ball 47 times for 192 yards, their most productive day of the season. And Trevor Lawrence talked a little bit about the running back room this week.
I think that's the biggest thing is you trust all of them, and they're all talented and can make plays, and that's important. But as far as doing the right thing all the time, knowing what they're doing, whether it's protection or running the ball and hitting the right spot, getting behind the line, hitting the right gap, all that stuff. All those guys do a great job, and they take a lot of pride in it. Chad's done a great job coaching them up as well, and I think that's the biggest thing. You see guys can come in, and no matter who it is, we feel confident in whoever it is to go in there and get it done. Obviously, like I said, it's been Travis getting the bulk of it. He's played awesome, but having guys that can step up because – in this game, it's, if someone needs a breather or if someone goes down for a few plays, like you need to have depth, and those guys have done a great job of that.
Expect to see a lot of these two guys, in particular, Travis Etienne and Bashal Tutin on the field today.
No doubt. It was a 50-50 split, basically, until Bashal left the field with that ankle, got rolled up late in the game. Had it not, he might have been the one in there getting that second touchdown, and we look at these numbers a little bit differently, but 19 carries for Etienne, 15 for Bashal Tutin, and Bashal Tutin had over a yard more per carry, so showing that explosiveness here, and great to have that late in the year.
Well, and this is what Liam Cohen wants, right? This is what he had in Tampa, where he had two great backs last year in White, and then he had Irving as well. He's starting to get that now with Tutin, get more and more reps, and the cool thing about Tutin is that home run ball. Any time he touches the ball, if there's a hole there, he can take it and break it. So, it's kind of an embarrassment of riches to say the least, and Liam Cohen's going to benefit from that.
To the other side of the ball, no Trayvon Walker today means plenty of Danny Strigow and B.J. Green, and before you worry about it, both of those guys made big plays last week. Strigow had a couple of great pass rushes. Green obviously had a sack. We've talked at length about how that should have been a sack and not a penalty. Anthony Campanile talked about these two guys. The Jaguars kept them on the active roster because they saw something from them back in August, and now they need something from them.
I thought they did a really good job. I thought they gave us the effort, competitiveness that we were looking for. When you go back and watch those plays, there's a lot of plays that guys not staying blocked. And that's what makes a good defensive unit. Guys not staying blocked, right? There's going to be somebody to account for you. Can you whip that block? Can you get to the football? If you hit the ground, get up like it's a hot stove. That type of mentality. They brought that to us out there the other day and did a good job.
Emmanuel Ogbah will be up again this week. We've seen something from Dwan Smoot. Last week he nearly had a sack. But these two guys, they're going to play a lot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they deploy them, honestly. Will one of them earn the start today, or do they want to keep them in that role where they're fresh legs coming in on third down and giving that offensive line a lot of problems? Regardless, Trayvon Walker's a big absence for this team. It's nice to have Green and Strigo coming along to supplement what Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon can do, but they need contributions from all those guys.
No, without a doubt. And I think you're playing against an offensive line in Arizona that's banged up in their own right. And I think next year their offensive line is probably going to look a lot different because they're not really happy with what's going on there. It's not quite as porous as the the Chargers offensive line, but they should still be able to get home. Just remember, when you get home now, make sure you tuck the quarterback in. Don't hit him too hard, and make sure you
I mentioned
read him a lullaby as well, please.
The Dewan almost had a sack. It seemed like he let go. He wasn't sure if the ball was
Business
gone.
decisions.
Yeah, right. He didn't want to take the penalty and the flag. Exactly, because B.J. Green took the foul. By the way, Dennis Gardak, who has been a really significant contributor to the Jaguars' first and second down defense, has been on the field a lot as a pass rusher in recent weeks. Played in Arizona last year. He's been watching tape of this team, and he says he doesn't see a backup quarterback when he watches Jacoby Brissett.
Yep, I feel like he's fairly close to a coach playing a position in terms of he knows the progression, he knows exactly kind of where the read should be, and his timing's impeccable, and then if it's not there, he's got his check down, and they've been able to create quite a few yards on just check down plays and stuff.
He's been one of the fewest turnover quarterbacks, or quarterbacks with the fewest turnovers in NFL history, on a per play basis. It was a weird game, though, last week. San Francisco's first offensive play came at Arizona's 1 yard line, and they literally, one play, they were up 7. So they were ahead the whole game, playing a little bit of a shell coverage, but still, 47 completions has never been done in the NFL. And that's the thing. Brissett gets rid of it quickly. He's very accurate. So, we talk about this pass rush, and we'd love to see it affect him. It might be affecting him just to get the ball out of his hands quicker.
No, without a doubt, because this team likes to get the ball out quickly. If you go back to that game where we set the record for most completions or whatever, a lot of those completions came within 10 yards, right? So they're trying to get the ball out very quickly, trying to help their offensive line out as much as possible. And keep in mind, they have one of the best, if not the best, tight end in the league in Trey McBride, who the Jaguars got a keen on today.
Jaguars will not have, in all likelihood, Jordan Lewis. He's questionable for today. However, they do have Greg Newsome, who left the game with an ankle injury last week. So combined with what we saw from Christian Braswell, who played solid football, and Monteric Brown, who has played solid football, and Jarian Jones, who's played solid football, not stars, but give them a little pass rush, and they're solid guys on the back end contributing. All right, we got a whole lot more ahead here on the Publix Tailgate Show, including...
I think, last week with a big lead, we continue to attack and, have that sense of urgency.
That is Eric Armstead, who the coach praised extensively on Friday afternoon for the way he's practicing. We'll hear from him coming up shortly. But next, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco's perspective on the Jaguars and Cardinals, which is a 4:05 kickoff. And you're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Yuengling Traditional Lager, a beer that, like true legends, stands the test of time. Brewed by the same family for nearly 200 years, it's a crisp amber lager with a bold, smooth flavor that's perfect for game day. Whether you're cheering from the stands or watching from your favorite bar, Yuengling is the taste of tradition. Yuengling, legends stand the test of time.
Jags fans, this season make your game day even tastier with Al's Pizza in the stadium, and then you can enjoy even more with the Al's Pizza Pickoff promo after the game. When the Jaguars get 2 interceptions in one game, you'll score 50% off one pizza, any size you want, for 48 hours after the game. Just tell them you want the Jags Pick promo when you order. Up your game and your pizza with Al's at the stadium or any of their 5 locations.
It's here that a tiny newborn has the heart surgery needed to save her life. It's here that a first grader learns to speak clearly and confidently. It's here that a 12-year-old athlete builds the strength to run full speed again. It's here at Wolfson Children's Hospital that answers are found, courage is shown, and odds are beaten every day. Wolfson Children's, always here. Visit wolfsonchildrens.com.
Big Number 1 Duval Ford is trusted by Duval families, Duval businesses, and law enforcement across Florida. We're Jacksonville's largest Ford dealer by new Ford sales with the biggest service facility to keep everything in your driveway and in your fleet on the road. Shop Big Number 1 Duval Ford on Cassett Avenue for our low prices and nationally recognized service-first experience. Big Number 1 Duval Ford, proudly serving North Florida since 1916.
And welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian, Mike, Austen with you from the Hyundai Studios inside the Miller Electric Center. We've got the Jaguars and Cardinals from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, coming up at 4:05. Interesting just twist of scheduling through the years. This is the Jaguars' 31st season, and it's only their 3rd trip to Arizona. We played there in 2005, Sun Devil Stadium, the last year they played on the campus at Arizona State, and then played there in 2017 at State Farm Stadium. So doesn't happen very often, but it does happen today. And you talked to Pete Prisco about it.
I did, but before we got to today's game, just wanted to get his reflection on the resiliency that the Jaguars displayed last week.
You know, Mike, I thought it was a telling week for them. I really did. Coming off of a disastrous loss the way you did, and blowing the fourth quarter lead to a backup quarterback, you could go one of two ways. And I think Liam Cohn did a great job of getting back refocused and getting them and getting their heads into it. And you can clearly see they were a different football team. They were physical from the start. The mistakes were limited, and I think as a group, it might have been their best game of the year.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree it was their best game of the year. But do you think we're past that hurdle now? Is this the focused effort we'll get on a week-to-week basis, or is it still hold your breath and hope?
Well, I think in the NFL, it's hold your breath and hope, because there's always the ups and then there's always the down. Even for the good teams, the experienced teams, you've seen that this year. So when you have a young team, this is one of those weeks where you come off a victory where you feel good about yourself, and you got to go back out on the road and you got to get refocused again. You can't allow it to go back down. So, again, you would think that they would, last week, did a really good job for kind of getting out of that pattern. But let's see, because, again, you got to stack those. And until they start stacking them, then you won't truly believe that they can get beyond that.
Like to see them stack that running game that they had last week. Pete, it was great early in the season. It seems to be coming around again here now. Is this something you think they'll be able to rely on over the final 7 weeks of the season?
Well, you would think so, and I think that's ideally what they want to do. I mean, they were physical, and you watch the tape, and the offensive line got after it. I mean, Ezra Cleveland was really good. Hainsey was good. McCarry's been good the last couple of weeks, and Cole Van Lannon filling in at right tackle was good. So the answer to your question is yes. I think that's what they want to do, whether it be with Tootin, whether it be with ETN. They want to run the ball and take the pressure off the passing game, and I think they did a great job of that last week.
Jacoby Myers has come in and led the team in receiving, not eye-popping numbers, but consecutive weeks since he's gotten here. Pete, are you surprised by how big his impact has been already?
No. He's a pro's pro, and you can see it in the way they respond to him, but you could see it on the field too. I mean, he's a glider. He knows how to sit down in zones. He knows how to beat man coverage. When you look at additions to this team, I think it was a great one. And look, they had problems at wide receiver. They've had injuries at wide receiver, and getting a guy like that to come in and be a pro's pro and show those guys how to do it and show the fact that he can be an effective player in the middle of the field, I think that's big for that team. It's big for Trevor Lawrence.
Well, speaking of problems at wide receiver, we learned earlier in the week that the Arizona Cardinals will be without Marvin Harrison Jr. for the second consecutive week following an appendectomy, but their passing game was on point last week. Michael Wilson had a huge game. Greg Dortch was very good. And Trey McBride's been outstanding all season long. And Jacoby Brissett set an NFL record with 47 completions. How much pressure is this passing game going to put on the Jags this week?
Well, I think McBride is number one, and you know that. He's been outstanding, and I think you have to do everything you can to take him away. Now, a couple weeks ago, they had all kinds of problems with Brock Bowers, and they got in some bad situations and matchup issues. You know, they got locked in with the safeties. You can't do that. The safeties can't be in man-to-man coverage with Trey McBride, who's going to eat him alive. So I think you got to do a lot of things to try and take him away. And if the other guys, if Wilson and Dortch and that group, and they beat you, then have at it. And I think that's going to be the focus of the defense. I think that'll be priority number one. Now, it's easier said than done to try and take away a guy like McBride. I would double him, beat him up, do everything I can to take him out of the game and let those other guys beat you.
All right, give us kind of an X-factor player, Pete, somebody from the Jags that you think could have a big impact on this game that we haven't discussed so far.
I think when you look at the back end, I think, you know, the safeties, both of them, have to play big. And there's been games where both those guys have had problems back there. And when they've had problems, one being, you know, getting caught in bad situations for Wingert when he's matched up. He's athletically limited, matched up in one-on-one situations. He's been beat. And Antonio Johnson, who had an interception last week, getting caught in some situations where he doesn't, you know, exactly play the defense the right way. If those two guys can play sound football, and they're going to be big in trying to take away McBride, then I think the defense can limit what they do in the passing game. So I put those two on the radar.
All right, big opportunity for the Jags to get to 7-4. Pete, do they get the job done today?
I think they do. I think they're a better team. I think that, there's going to be some emotional letdown. You got to go across the country. You're playing a team you should beat. But if this team is what we think they can be and what they showed last week, they go out there and they win the game today. So I'm taking the Jaguars to win the game.
Let's hope Pete's right. You know, I think there are 4 take-care-of-business games left on the schedule. This is one of them. That's no offense to the Cardinals. We pointed out they've lost 7 of 8. They're a 3-win team. You got the 2 with Tennessee, and you got the game against the Jets. You get those 4, you're already at 10 this season.
So what's the hardest part about coming off a big win and going west? How do you keep the momentum?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Because you had a bunch of momentum going into the Chargers game because everyone was saying you guys are kind of out of it, right? So it was easy to get up there and play, especially at home. Sometimes you have to manufacture it, right? And I just think right now, knowing the Texans are right on your heels, the Texans team that embarrassed you in the fourth quarter, that stole that win, you have to try to keep them out of it now. That's the motivation for me.
All right, PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jaguars. They have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Well, defensive tackle Eric Armstead is playing good football. Just listen to Liam Cohen from Friday. You can see the energy in the former Pro Bowler despite being 32. He's been a part of some very good teams from his days in San Francisco and thinks that this team can play at a higher level as well. Beginning this afternoon, he knows what it takes to win.
I think just having a growth mindset, getting better and better as the season goes on, and down the stretches where you want to be playing your best football. So just keeping our foot to the pedal and keep getting better.
I'm not asking you to beat your chest, but it sure seems like this defensive line feeds off of your energy. Is that something that you focus on?
My energy?
Being that guy for that defensive line group.
I just want to, make plays and have my team win games, and that's always been my mindset. So we got a really good group that I love being around, and, we're having fun out there.
What did it mean to you guys to have the young guys coming off the edge last week? I mean, both Danny and BJ contributed in a pretty good way.
Yeah, that was great to see, them get an opportunity and contribute. We believe in everyone on our D-line, that when they're out there, they're going to contribute and play well. So that was great to see.
Been on teams that have gone deep into the playoffs to the Super Bowl. This team has been a bit up and down at times in its history, not just this year. How do you take a huge win and come back and play consistently as a team and not ride the roller coaster of a season?
I think you got to learn how to win games in certain fashions, and I think last week with a big lead, we continue to attack and have that sense of urgency, and so it's every game is different. There's going to be times where it's back and forth, and it's going to come down the wire, and someone's going to have to make a play and execute in a pressure situation, or it's going to be times where you're having to fight back for a lead, or times where you're having to protect a big lead. So it's just learning how to win in those different situations.
You know this Arizona team better than most in this locker room. Jaguars have only played there twice in 31 years. Their record isn't great. but it looks like there's enough dangerous players there that they can ruin your day.
Arizona's a good team. Like I said, you can't sleep on anybody in this league, and they have great players all over their offense, defense, and special teams. And I've played against a bunch of them throughout my career, being in that division. So we're gonna have to, come out there with that same sense of urgency, like I'm talking about, and jump on them fast. Really,
you're in a great spot with 5.5 sacks. It seems like you have put together a really good season with half the season left to go. Does it feel like your best season in a while?
I don't know. Somewhat. Definitely better than last season. And that was a focus of mine to switch back to playing inside. And, I had a lot planned this offseason, what I wanted to show out there on the field this year. I've had some good seasons, so I would say it's up there, but got a lot more to do.
Let's wrap with this. Calais Campbell's in his 18th season. He's a guy we know a little bit around here. You obviously know him. How about an appreciation? Do you have one for a guy that can play that long at that high of a level in this game?
Much appreciation. Calais, I really feel like paved the way for a tall defensive lineman like me. He showed what was possible when people were questioning, if being too tall was a negative and not being able to play with leverage and all those things. And Calais was my player comp coming out of college, and he really showed what tall defensive linemen are capable of. And he's a mentor, a big homie of mine. So much admiration for him and what he's doing in his career, and he's inspiring me. And I don't know if I'm gonna play 18, but he's continuing to inspire me each and every year and show what you can do playing at a super high level. When you're kind of getting up there in age and people might not expect that out of you. He's becoming an outlier and showing what a player like that can do.
He's playing great football, Austen. Yeah. 5.5 sacks, push in the pocket. How important is he without Trayvon Walker today?
I mean, he's really everything, right? Because we can sit here and say Josh Hines-Allen has maybe found a new groove a little bit, playing with some more confidence, but it all starts with that interior, and kudos to Eric Armstead, because let's be honest, when the season started, I think a lot of people at least agreed that interior defensive line was a big position need. And then going into the trade deadline, interior defensive line was a big position need. Eric Armstead's holding people off right now. And he had that injury in training camp where we didn't really know what it was. You had Mason Smith. I think there was high expectations for him. We haven't seen a lot of him. Eric's done a great job of doing what he needs to do, especially in the pass game, creating that pressure.
All right, coming up in 15 minutes, Jeff Loggeman and Bucky Brooks join us from the booth. But up next,
and we didn't finish against the Texans. We made a big point of that during the week. We did it at practice, in our meetings, everything. That was emphasized, and those guys took it to heart.
Offensive line coach Sean Surratt is never satisfied, but he is optimistic about how his group is playing. We'll explain coming up. Jaguars and Cardinals at 4:05 Eastern Time. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At GEHA, we stand behind our members because we were founded by members. We're not focused on Wall Street. We're focused on Main Street. So we've built dental plans with 100% coverage for in-network preventive care, with access to a nationwide network of nearly 600,000 provider locations. GEHA is proud to offer dental plans exclusively for federal employees, federal retirees, and military retirees. Visit GEHA.com to learn more.
Game day means it's time to get loud, get proud, and get real. As a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Deep Eddy Vodka brings real flavor made with real ingredients to every tailgate, watch party, and post-game toast. Handcrafted in small batches in Austen, Texas, Deep Eddy Vodka is distilled 10 times and is made with purified Texas water, real fruit juice, and pure cane sugar. Wherever you're cheering on the Jaguars, make every moment a real one with Deep Eddy Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Please stay drink responsibly. Deep Eddy Vodka is a product of Deep Eddy Distilling Company, Austin, Texas. 35 to 40% alcohol by volume, distilled from corn.
Huddle up, My Gate Rewards members. Football is back. Celebrate with the Duval Meal Deal at Gate. Right now, grab a personal pizza and any 20-ounce Coca-Cola soft drink for just $4.99. No matter what combo you choose, this meal's the perfect play. Happening now through January 5th, 2026. See store for details. A deal that's a victory for every fan. Gates got you.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back. The Publix Tailgate Show rolls along. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Brian, Mike, and Austen with you. 4:05 kickoff Eastern Time today from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. It's time for our weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
Having a tough time figuring out the Jags. Thought they'd win 2 weeks ago in Houston. We saw what happened there and picked them to lose last Sunday against the Chargers. So, here we are. What Jaguars team shows up today? Obviously, they've got momentum, but the desert hasn't been kind. That shouldn't matter. Arizona's lost 7 of 8, and like Jacksonville, they're a beaten-up football team. The only concern is the Jaguars' pass defense. Even with many skilled players, Jacoby Brissett has torn it up over the last 5 weeks. As a matter of fact, a week ago, 47 of 57. It was the most completions in the history of the NFL. Can Jacksonville get to the quarterback? What's going on with Trayvon Walker, who didn't practice this week? Can they get takeaways? The Jags have 13 interceptions in 10 games. And does Trevor Lawrence put up big numbers against a Cardinals defense that has allowed 85 points in the last 2 weeks? Jacksonville scored 29-plus in 3 consecutive games. And for the most part, Lawrence has been a game manager. The rushing attack has been outstanding. Liam Cohen will try to run again today, but with both Travis Etienne and Bashal Tutin, who were limited this week in practice, Arizona, their biggest weakness is their pass defense. I'm going to go out on a limb. Lawrence has thrown 7 touchdowns in his last 8 games. Today, he throws for 3 in a Jaguars victory.
And you can get more with Rick on Into the Night with Rick Ballou, weeknights from 6 to 8 on 1010 XL. Well, the offensive line powered by the Jaguars last week, despite the absence of right tackle Anton Harrison, who is arguably its best player. You don't run the ball 47 times very often, and rarely do you do that against a team as talented as the Chargers. But that's the standard. However, to be able to run when they want to run, no matter who the opponent is, well, offensive line coach Sean Surratt appreciates how his group got the job done and expects them to keep improving through this pivotal stretch of the season.
Oh, man, I mean, I've been in this league, coming on a lot of years, and that's what you hunt. You sit there, you preach it as a coach to the players, saying you can take over a game running the ball, and, they hear it, and it's just not giving it lip service. Our coordinator, which is our head coach, really took it to heart, and he just kept calling those runs, man.
Is it the personality of this team to run first? It's a quarterback-driven league. I get that. But when I talk to Robert Hainsey, when I see how interchangeable some of the parts that you've put together are when they get in there, it sure seems like this is a run-first team.
Yeah, a lot of teams want to talk about identity, and that's something we talk about. We want to be the kind of team that strikes first, and strikes hard. It's just one of those deals. And we have no problem with running the ball and running it again and then running it again. That's the kind of team we want to be.
You've had to do a lot of different things. I mean, Ezra Cleveland, who I think has played very well, has to miss a game. You plug a guy in, and he goes. Anton Harrison can't play, plug Cole Van Lanen in, and it goes. How difficult is it to build that sort of cohesiveness no matter who you've got?
Well, that's hats off to those guys, those young guys, man. You know, Cole Van Lanen did a hell of a job. You know, he didn't blink a bit. You know, he went in and played guard, and then, next week we said, hey, man, we need you to play tackle. He's played the jumbo tight end. He's done all three positions. I tip my hat to him. There's a guy that's showing what he's worth, and he did it at a high level at all three positions, and we appreciate that, and that's what the expectation in the room is. We want guys that can come in and play multiple positions.
A bunch of guys on the defensive side talked about playing angry last week. If you can just go back to that week between Houston and Los Angeles, what was the mindset of your team? Because that was a resounding win last week. What was the mindset, and then how do you replicate that after a win as opposed to a loss?
Well, at the end of the day, it's the standard that's been set. The head coach has set the standard of saying, hey, we got to finish. And we didn't finish against the Texans. And, we made a big point of that during the week. We did it at practice, in our meetings, everything. That was emphasized, and those guys took it to heart, and they didn't let up, It's just one of those deals. And even in the game, they were still fired up about, let's run the ball more, let's do this. And, they really took it to heart and finished it this time.
It's probably easier to do after a loss than a win. So how do you, as the offensive line coach, keep that mentality on finish in a week where you win 35-6?
Well, once again, that goes to them. I can sit there and I can give it lip service, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that's going to drive it. And we had this conversation at the beginning of the year. We're going to go as the O-line goes. And that's any NFL team. Let's just be real. If you got problems on the line, you got problems, and people know it. Shows real fast.
Do you have an appreciation for number 93 in Arizona? Calais Campbell is a guy who has been playing, a long time. How difficult is he to defend?
Oh, man, he has been around a long time, like you said. I can remember my days in with the Steelers and him over at the Ravens, and, an 18-year guy. It's unbelievable, and he's 39 or 38 years old, and it's just like I'm sitting there thinking, man, I know how I felt at 38, 39. There's no way I could have done this, hats off to him. There's a guy that's still doing it at a high level, and it's going to be a tough week for our guys inside, and they know it, and just the type of player he is.
How about a final thought? You're in your first year here in this program, 6-4, off to a great start. Robert Hainsey's here in his first year, coming over from Tampa to help instill the system that Liam brought with him. How strong is the relationship that you've developed with Robert, and how valuable is he to you as the offensive line coach?
Oh, he's priceless to us, man. He's our field general, and it's the idea of him being able to communicate not only with the guys in the room, but with other positions, and everybody looks to him for answers, and even me sometimes I got to realize how he's playing a certain way and how he sees things, and that's just how it is, But he's done an unbelievable job, and that's somebody that's going to be here for a long time with us.
Let's spend a minute and talk about the offensive line. Normally when you lose a player, you're starting right tackle, and Anton Harrison is their best offensive tackle. There's a step down, but it didn't feel that way with Cole Van Lanen last week. I know Khalil Mack is not the same guy that he was a few years ago, but he can still bring it, and Cole Van Lanen handled him pretty well.
Yeah, Cole Van Lanen handled it, and once again, this is, I think, just a testament to also Quentin Morris coming in and helping and block Khalil Mack as well. And it all works hand in hand, right? If you have tight ends that are willing to block and impose their physicality, it makes the tackle's position a lot easier as well. And right now, you're seeing a unit that's playing together, and the ability to run the football. That's everything.
Yeah, and look, if I'm Anton, I want to hurry back as quickly as possible because Cole Van Lanen looked really good last week, and Liam Cohen even highlighted it in the postgame how he was angry every time he came off the field, whether he had reason to be or not. He played with a big edge last week.
And listen, this crew last week running the ball 47 times. That's red meat to an offensive line. Mm-hmm. They'd love to be able to do that every week. You're obviously going to have the box stacked today.
Yeah. No, and I understand that the Jaguars aren't, looking ahead. I am, right? So I'm looking at it in terms of who could you play in the playoffs and everything. The ability to run the football means everything in cold weather, right? And going through the AFC, you might be playing some cold weather teams. Yes, the box is going to be stacked today, and this is where Trevor Lawrence has to show up a little bit and be dependable as well. But this is a run-first team, and you'd be relied as a run-first team, especially when that playoff comes around with cold weather.
The way that Cole Van Lanen is playing, I had someone tell me on the practice field this week, got to find a way to keep that guy on the field. He's played that well. Mm-hmm. Anton comes back. Van Lanen's playing well. Walker Little better keep his level of performance at a high level.
Right.
Because
Everyone
Van
needs to
Lanen can play
watch
both
your back
sides.
because Van Lanen can play everything but center. But I mean, there are some guys like Ezra's had, I think, a really nice year. So, yeah, I mean, like Van Lanen is a guy they clearly wanted to make sure that they kept because they did put a tender on him. So you would have had to give up a draft pick if you had signed him as a free agent this year. So I think obviously he's become kind of the go-to guy across the offensive line. And you're right. If he plays the way he did and Anton gets healthy and they still deem him one of the absolute best, then somebody's going to have to take a seat.
I mean, that's what you want in the locker room, right? You want competition even halfway, 3/4 of the way through the season, and that's what you got right now on this offensive line.
One more thought on the running game, and that is Brenton Strange. What does he bring from your perspective to this offensive line that's coming off their most complete game of the season?
I mean, this is a guy who obviously he specializes in physicality. I think there's tight ends out there that I play with a bunch of them, whether it was in Detroit or Kansas City. They're good blockers because they know how to use their bodies and a little more finesse. And then you have like your Mercedes Lewis's who just take it personal if anyone's going to try to, go toe-to-toe with you. And that's what Brenton Strange reminds me of Mercedes Lewis, where you put it upon yourself where, just going down the line of scrimmage isn't good enough. I want to knock my defensive end, my linebacker 5 yards, in the defense. And that's what Brenton Strange does. It's an attitude.
Mercedes apparently is doing that
on
the practice field in Denver.
I'm not surprised.
In his 20th NFL season. Go figure. Well, from the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Find your local Ford dealer today. Well, coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. But when we return, Jeff Longman and Bucky Brooks join us from the booth. Jags and Cardinals 4:05 kickoff in Glendale, Arizona. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow! Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
The kick is up. It's good! Field goals for Firehouse Subs are back. That means when the Jags score from deep, you do too. Anytime the Jags score a field goal that's 40 yards or more, you can get a free medium sub with the purchase of any other medium sub online or in the app for 4 days following the game. So cheer on the Jags, watch for the big kicks, and get your buy one, get one free medium sub at participating Firehouse Subs throughout Jacksonville when you use the app. The hottest subs in Duval. See firehousesubs.com for offer terms. Ride Now Beach Boulevard is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars football fires up your Sundays, and a Yamaha boat brings on-the-water thrills to get you through the other 6 days of the week. Check out the extensive Yamaha boat selection at Ride Now Beach Boulevard in Jacksonville or online at ridenowbeachboulevard.com. Their prices will not be beat. You and the Jaguars can both win this season. Just mention Jaguars at the time of your purchase. Go Jags! Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Game day means it's time to get loud, get proud, and get real. As a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Deep Eddy Vodka brings real flavor made with real ingredients to every tailgate, watch party, and post-game toast. Handcrafted in small batches in Austen, Texas, Deep Eddy Vodka is distilled 10 times and is made with purified Texas water, real fruit juice, and pure cane sugar. Wherever you're cheering on the Jaguars, make every moment a real one with Deep Eddy Vodka, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Please stay drink responsibly. Deep Eddy Vodka is a product of Deep Eddy Distilling Company, Austen, Texas, 35 to 40% alcohol by volume, distilled from corn.
At GEHA, we stand behind our members because we were founded by members. So with 0 shareholders to mind, we keep our members in mind by offering a health plan for every stage of life. Plus, hearing and fitness discounts. At GEHA, one thing is clear. Your health isn't our business. It's our purpose. That's why we've been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. Visit GEHA.com to find your federal health plan.
And we're back with the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian, Mike, and Austen with you from the Hyundai Studios. We've got the Jaguars and Cardinals coming your way at 4:05 Eastern Time. So let's head now to the Heritage of North Florida broadcast booth in Glendale, where Jeff Loggeman and Bucky Brooks are standing by. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon, boys. How
What's
we
happening?
doing?
You tell us.
Good. Well, I can tell you one thing. I did not bring a jacket, and I got off the plane yesterday like we all did, and we were like, I thought we were coming to the desert where it's sunny and dry, and it's cold and rainy and wet. So, yeah, not exactly what you expected coming here to Glendale or Phoenix, I guess.
Well, how would you know? I mean, the Jaguars are making just their third trip to the desert, the first since 2017, but only the third in 31 years.
Yeah, it's definitely. And what's cool, Brian, about this whole, traveling here, I hope there's a way that we can find of getting it done in Jacksonville like they do here with this field situation. Because they got this grass field. This is completely inside. They roll this thing out. They roll it back in for game day. And it's amazing surface here now. It's fantastic. In Jacksonville, the new stadium of the future and all of that, man, I hope they can find a way to make sure that there's grass inside of that new stadium.
Well, we can hope for that, guys. But for today, it's time for Finding Solutions, presented by UF Health, the proud healthcare partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll ask you, Jeff and Bucky, has Liam Cohen found the solution for getting his team to play with the edge that we saw last week?
I think so. Last week went a large part in helping them reestablish that identity. And now it's about challenging them to play to that standard each and every week. He's talked about it. The team has talked about it, understanding how they need to play, the preparation, the practice process, but more importantly, the performance and the edge they need to bring is important because that's how they've played their best.
Yeah, and I hope they learn a lot from that past game because – look, they played well in all three phases. They did a really good job of eliminating the negatives. The penalties were only at one. And it just showed them, how good that they can be. And when they play the game in a physical fashion, look, that's how they can't dominate everybody like that. Look, it's a week-to-week league. And it's a challenge, again, to find a way to do something like that today. I'm not saying you have to be just as good, but that's always the challenge. And the good teams find a way to make that consistent from week to week. And I think today's game will go a long ways towards telling us, is this a good team? Are they ready to be consistent?
Guys, we talk about physicality. Obviously, Brenton Strange coming back is definitely going to amplify that. You have Quentin Morris, who kind of showed out last week against the Chargers in terms of his physicality. What is this rotation going to look like, right? Are we going to see a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets? Are we going to see most of Brenton Strange? What do you guys envision for this offense against the Cardinals?
Oh, I think there'll be multi-tight ends on the field at various times throughout the day. It really clears the picture up for Trevor Lawrence. And we're really good when we have multiple tight ends. I think people forget how good of a blocker Brent Strange was when he was on the field early in the year. And some of that success that we had running was due to him being able to control the edges. We want to get back to that. It is obvious that we are a running football team. And so having the tight ends, being able to rotate those guys through, will help us establish that ground attack.
Yeah, I think we could see maybe some heavy tight end stuff today just because, all of them are playing pretty well, right? Johnny Munt's playing well. Quentin Morris coming off his best game. Brenton Strange in practice, guys, has looked fantastic. Let's not forget Chumi Doga, who's really kind of an extra tight end when they put him on the field. And the wide receiver group without Brian Thomas Jr., I think, is a little limited. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch. And the tight end group also is going to have to block one guy in particular, the wide receivers and the tight ends, Budda Baker. Now, guys, he's a stud safety for the Arizona Cardinals, been a good football player for a long time. And they're going to have to find a way to dig number 3 out of that box because he's going to be living in the box today for the Cardinals.
Guys, a couple of young defensive ends made their presence felt last week with B.J. Green and Danny Strigo. And with Trayvon Walker out today, what do you expect from that duo?
Well, I think both of those guys are going to get a lot of play time. And look, I'm impressed with how well that they have played and there's still a lot of room for improvement. But watching these guys this week, I like the way they work. They stay after practice. They get extra reps. B.J. Green's got some twitch. Danny Strio's got great effort, great finish, great athleticism. And to be perfectly honest, he's given them more than they have gotten in the past from Emmanuel Ogbah. So they've earned the right to play, and it's going to be exciting to watch them in a more increased role today.
Coach Liam Cohen mentioned Calais Campbell being a game record not only on special teams but obviously on the defensive line as well. I'm just curious, out of both you guys who played at a very high level, when you played a team that maybe let you go or you're a free agent and go someplace else, did it add a little extra incentive to try to show the other team up again?
Oh, it's always personal in this league. So anytime someone lets you go, you definitely want to show the former team what they're missing. Calais Campbell feels great affinity for the Jaguars, but there's nothing better than to come and be able to show out in front of your former team. So he's going to be amped up. He's going to be ready to play. And you can expect him to make some plays, but you hope on our end we're able to control him, neutralize him, and make far more plays than he makes.
Yeah, look, anytime you get an opportunity to play against a team that you played for, I mean, there's always some kind of motivation. But, is it going to be any more for Calais? I don't know. I mean, he's a total pro. He's been a total pro his entire career. He's one of the greatest free agent acquisitions in Jaguars history, one of the greatest guys to ever grace the locker room in Jacksonville. And, I'm going to be rooting against his team today, but I'm going to be rooting for him just because he's that kind of a guy.
A few weeks back, as we saw Brock Bowers just decimate the Jags, didn't have an answer for him. Trey McBride's having an even better season. How do they slow him today?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a tough one. He's one of the best tight ends we've seen. We have had problems against elite tight ends. You just go back a few weeks ago, Brock Bowers catching balls all over the place. The thing that you want to do is limit his impact. And so if he catches passes, you want him to catch it and have multiple guys rally and put him to the ground immediately. You cannot let him have a big day because when you look at the rest of their wide receiver core, there are not many guys that are capable of making a significant impact. He is the one, so everyone just needs to know where he is and make sure we got enough guys running to him when the ball goes his way.
Yeah, I think he's a really good tight end, obviously leading the league with receptions and yardage with all the tight ends. I think Brock Bowers is a bit more of a challenge just because he's an exceptional route runner. I mean, he's exceptional. If you give Trey McBride extra attention, I think you can cover him. Whereas Brock Bowers, if you give him extra attention, he's such a polished route runner, he still gets that separation. But that's a big challenge today, But, you put too much attention on Trey McBride, and all of a sudden Michael Wilson, who went for 185 last week, can have a big game on you. So it's going to be a delicate balance. The most important thing, if you want to eliminate all of that, you smack the quarterback around a little bit. Jacoby Brissett, make him uncomfortable. And here's one matchup, guys, that I'm going to tell you that I think the Jaguars got to win. I think Eric Armstead, if Will Hernandez plays, and he's the right guard for the Cardinals, okay, and he's questionable this week with an ankle. If Will Hernandez plays this week, I would take Eric Armstead and I would line him up on Hernandez every single play. And I would tell him, rush the passer every single play. And I'm telling you, Eric Armstead will wear him out. He will wear him out. So, boys, watch that matchup.
Man, Jeff is fired up. Jeff sounds like he had a couple snaps in him. Like he wants to line up and take some.
Will Hernandez, I mean, he can't. He's a
it's personal.
Big oaf, man. He can't move.
Careful, Loggy, careful.
I got a little fired up, boys. I want to see this matchup.
Sounded like Mel Kiper out there with a draft breakdown, a big oaf that can't move. I like it.
We're leaving you at that one. Have a great broadcast today, fellas.
Thank you, boys.
And that'll do it for hour number one. JP Shadrick will be making his way through that door in 5, 4, 3, 2.
He's late.
1.5.
He let me down. He normally walks in.
Yeah.
All right. He knows that he's listening on the other side out there, and he's not going to let me have that one. Fellas, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the postgame show.
You got it.
Thank you, man.
We'll have more. We're here on the Publix Tailgate Show, hour number 2, coming your way. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There he is. I got him as he walks through the door. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey, I'm Logan Cook, punter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Driving distracted or stolen is dangerous for you, and it's dangerous for everyone on the road around you. Ride with Do Not Disturb. That call, text, or social media message can wait. Choose your music before you turn on the ignition. Anytime your eyes are not on the road ahead, you're distracted, so pay attention. But remember, drive high equals DUI. Plan ahead, have a designated driver, keep a clear head to see clear ahead, and let's get everyone home safely.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games. When you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport, catch epic showdowns in Cincinnati and Denver. Turn up the heat in Phoenix and Las Vegas. Support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or you need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. Book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Restaurant Orsay is a bustling French-American bistro focusing on classic French techniques with their chefs incorporating a traditional Southern influence. Celebrate life's special moments or just relax and enjoy their daily happy hour. Restaurant Orsay also offers full-service catering for any of your event needs. Restaurant Orsay, located in historic Avondale at 3630 Park Street. Visit www.restaurantorsay.com.
The stadium bathroom line. It's like TSA and the DMV merged in the waters of rush hour traffic, and you're in it. No closer to the bathroom than you were 5 minutes ago. Just closer to, well, going to the bathroom. You know what actually takes a minute? Pre-ordering an Uber so no one drives impaired after the game. Take a minute, make a plan. Never drive impaired. Go to takeaminutenow.com. From Diageo, Mad, Uber, and the NFL. Please drink responsibly.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
It is hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. It is week 12. We're closing in on the Jaguars at 6-4 and the Arizona Cardinals 3-7. State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona, the site. 4:05 Eastern kickoff time today. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, Austen Lane. We're at the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. And the Jaguars headed west again. They fared well out west this season so far. And this is a test. I know you guys talked about it in the first hour of how this Jaguars team responds to success. We saw how they responded last week to the blown lead in Houston. They responded with a great performance. Okay, everybody's patting them on the back this week. They got to go out and handle a team that they should handle.
Yeah, I think, Austen, it's all about the mental approach today. That's the gauge to me. Sometimes you get beat physically, but do the Jags show up and not beat themselves? Do they not have those, issues with clock management, with false starts, with the just different alignment penalties? They were great in that department last week. If they have that kind of focus, they should be able to win this football game.
Yeah,
today.
they were laser focused. Now the big question comes, how do you find your motivation against the team that you're supposed to beat? I was waiting for Jacoby Brissett to say something in the media that's going to be bulletin board material. Unfortunately, the guy's a constant pro, so no bulletin board material. But what do the Jaguars use to their advantage to try to get motivated and get up for this game?
Game day weather brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Waterless here in Jacksonville today. It is a picture-perfect day. It is 82 degrees currently. That's the high for today, and bright sunshine. There is the roof in Arizona as well, so air-conditioned comfort there in the desert. And here are some of today's top stories. We start with the Jaguars, of course, bouncing back last week with a win over the Chargers. The Jags offense stayed on time. They were ahead of the chains not really any pre-snap penalties. Trevor Lawrence, Jags quarterback, said that wristband that he wore last week helped streamline the pre-snap process.
You can just get calls in faster, really, is all it is. Because you got a number on your wristband, and then you read it off to the guys instead of calls get pretty long in certain situations. So Liam's got to call it. He's got to get the personnel in. You got to call that. You got to call the play. And then if you miss something and he has to call the play again, then you're saying this whole long sentence again. And then you're saying it in the huddle. And then you're breaking it instead of just, hey, wristband 10. And then you go in there, call it to the guys, and get out of there. Then you have usually 5 more seconds or so. I mean, it just depends. Maybe not that much sometimes, but that's really all it does.
It's a good example of the adjustment, yes, from the quarterback, but also the coaching staff, too, to adjust the way they put the play in. Some could be stubborn and say, no, we're doing it this way, and you need to read this play and do this. No, let's adjust and make the quarterback a little more comfortable, and this offense showed that it can perform.
Well, and shout out to the quarterback as well for being game about this, right? Because I think there's some quarterbacks out there that are going to be like, no, I got it, don't worry about it, I don't want to wear a wristband, right? So anything to streamline, the pre-snap process and everything, I think this team's all for, because when you go forward, the offense will probably get a little more intricate, a lot more motions and things like that. So anything to help the quarterback out right now, I'm in favor of.
Yeah, I'm not a lot to add to that. It's exactly what I was going to say. There are a lot of quarterbacks that I think it's embarrassing to wear this. I have to have this. And it sounds like Trevor Lawrence is matter of fact about it. Whatever, man. It makes it quicker to get the play in. And if it helps Trevor be that much more efficient, I'm all for it.
Let's get to the offensive line. Last week they set the tone, of course, with nearly 200 yards rushing for the Jags offense. Right guard Patrick McCary will do whatever it takes up front, though.
As an offense, we love to win, and we love to score points. And if that means running the ball or passing the ball, then that's great. We found our groove with running the ball a little bit, and whatever it takes to win, that's what we want to do.
Well, what it took to win last week was 42 carries by running back, 7 carries by the quarterback, nearly 200 yards. Cole Van Lanen played at right tackle last week. They had 5 guys on the injury report going into last week's game and put up that kind of performance. It tells you a lot about what's going on up front.
Well, and it's everything, right? When Liam Cohen first got here, he said physicality was going to be a key, and you talk about a team right now on defense that can stop the run, the best run defense in the league, and then a team that can run the ball 47 times. That's physicality.
Yeah, and look, I think they got away from it a little bit kind of in the middle of the season, but they're back to where they were at the beginning of the year, where they were leading the league in rushing. You can't count on being able to hand it off 40-plus times every week, but I like the mentality that if they do play from ahead, they're just going to try to grind you down to a nub.
Bayshul Tootin, part of that running effort last week, 42 carries for the running backs. He and Etienne combined, and boy, what a performance on the ground, fighting for those tough yards. He loves the belief in the run game.
It means a lot, that coach, decided to run us, 42 times a game, like you said. It definitely showed that he has a lot of trust and confidence in, us and the offensive line and the wideouts, with all blocking. And, we want to be able to run the ball. So just to, get the opportunity to go out there and showcase that definitely means a lot to our group.
Apologies to LaQuint Allen. He was the hammer at the end of the game when Tootin had that ankle issue. He's going to play today, it sounds like, though, so that's good news for the running game. Tight end play. Jaguars were without Brenton Strange the last few weeks, so Quentin Morris has stepped up and played big. He's a former undrafted player. He's had time on the practice squad. He knows he must be ready whenever the number's called.
Yeah, I think that's something I've battled, being an undrafted rookie, coming in when I was back in Buffalo. Like, every day you come in, you got to work to stay. They're always bringing in guys, to replace you. And, it's just part of the league. And, you just got to keep your head down, keep grinding. And, we talked at the beginning of the season when I was on practice squad, and it just, never changed the mindset. Just going to come in, keep my head down, work, and when that opportunity comes, just be ready for it.
He's showing his physicality. Brenton Strange is back today as well, so the healthiest the tight end room's been in a while.
Yeah, Quentin Morris opened some eyes with his blocking in the run game last week, but none of these tight ends can replicate what Brenton Strange gives you in the run after the catch department. He's going to truck at least one guy, Austen, it feels like, on every little short swing pass that he collects, and he's a good outlet for Trevor.
Exactly. I mean, you talk about Trevor's really, I think, security blanket before he got hurt. Trevor's been lacking that these past couple of games. So now you bring him back where if the pocket collapses, the pocket breaks down, expect for him to go to Brenton Strange once again.
Let's hear from the head coach now. The Jags facing off against former Jags defensive lineman Calais Campbell today for the Arizona Cardinals. Coach Cohen knows the impact that the big fella can make.
He was one of our game wreckers this morning in both defense and in special teams for the career block, extra points and field goals. So but he is playing at a very high level. You know, he utilizes that swim move at 6'8", and that can be hard on guards and interior offensive linemen. And then his strain through the down in terms of in the known passing situations, but also where he's extremely effective is batting balls down as well. So if he doesn't get maybe an edge in the rush, well, he's going to stop, and that's a brick wall there, you know. So we've got to really make sure we're accounting for him, knowing his strengths, and be able to attack some of the weaknesses there and get his hands down, especially in the pass game.
I want to say Calais Campbell has like 12 block kicks in his career, something like that. He's been here in the league for 18 years, so it adds up. His size is unique, and we know him personally here from his 3 seasons here, and then last year. First 2 plays of the game in Miami, sack, tackle for loss. 2 hours earlier, he's in handcuffs outside the stadium in Miami. Right. I mean, that tells you about what kind of player he still is.
Wish he was still in handcuffs. Sorry, Calais. just for the next several hours. Look, what can you say about this guy? He's been doing it at a high level, and really, you look at his career numbers, Austen. He played in a 3-4 defense. He played that big end role. So you saw what happened when he got here and played a 4-3 as a true defensive end. The career numbers would be astronomical if he could have played in that kind of defense his entire career.
It's really insane, and he's still playing at a very high level, too. Obviously, this guy takes care of his body a lot, but I don't think you have to take care of it. I think he's kind of like Wolverine, man. He just regenerates, and he's always ready to go. But keep in mind, and I spoke about this with Jeff and Bucky a little bit, anytime you're playing an old team, I remember it when it was me, Evan Britton, and Zach Miller. There's a couple names for you guys, but we were in Chicago 2014, the first preseason game of the year against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was our Super Bowl. We're in the tunnel, we're yelling, we're screaming like we're going to prove them wrong. Or they cut it, let us go and everything. And that was a preseason game. Like Calais will come out amped up as he should, and they got to keep an eye on him, man, because that guy can take over a game real quickly on special teams and on defense as well.
I haven't heard the name Evan Britton in forever.
Wow. One of the greatest enigmas you'd ever meet, man. He's dude's awesome.
Let's now. This is, of course, the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Austen Lane ahead of the Jaguars Cardinals matchup, and we flip now to the Jaguars defense and the Jags. Yeah, stop me if you've heard this. They've had issues covering tight ends. Most notably this season, Raiders tight end Brock Bowers, defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli explaining the Cardinals tight end Trey McBride.
Yeah, very similar. He's got all the skill sets of a great receiver, much like Bowers can accelerate after the catch. So we have to do a great job against him. That's is a point of emphasis. You got to know what their plan is and how they're using them, and we got to have a good feel for where he is every snap, because he's really done a tremendous job this year and last year. He's one of the better players at that position in the entire league.
Trey McBride leads NFL tight ends with 71 catches, just over 700 yards, 7 receiving touchdowns, and he loves it when Brissett's in there because 6 receiving touchdowns in 5 games with Jacoby Brissett.
That was the missing piece of his game. He's never been a big touchdown producer, and Kyler Murray and he never really had that red zone connection for whatever reason. And it's interesting, Austen, because he can do everything the modern tight end is asked to do in the passing game. He can box you out. Yeah. He can find the soft spot in the zone. He can run away from you. He's got great hands. So it's a little curious that it took him this long to use him as a red zone weapon.
Yeah, I'm not sure if him and Jacoby Brissett have the same agent maybe. And
who knows?
Maybe there's some conversation there about, hey, help my client out, please. But nevertheless, yeah, there is definitely a chemistry with Brissett and with Trey McBride. And listen, we talked about it in the first hour. The ball will come out quickly, right? And as a defensive line, that's going to get you frustrated because if you have a great pass rush move, it doesn't matter if the ball's out. So I think an emphasis has to be now on if you're Eric Armstead, if you're Josh Hines Allen, getting your hands up and try to prevent those short passes, especially down the middle to a Trey McBride.
Jaguars linebacker Dennis Gardeck, a former Arizona Cardinal as well. And I asked him in the locker room this week, what are your emotions going back? He's like, my wife always asks me my emotions as well. And then he stopped. And then I did get a scouting report on Jacoby Brissett from him.
He's fairly close to a coach playing a position in terms of he knows the progression. He knows exactly kind of where the read should be, and his timing's impeccable. And then if it's not there, he's got his check down. And they've been able to create quite a few yards on just check down plays and stuff, just being able to kind of keep chunking away down the field.
Jags defenseman Josh Hines Allen got his 56th career sack last week, and now it's on to Arizona. He dissected why the Cardinals completed so many passes a week ago.
We have to know how they did it, why they did it,
it's weird because when I see it, I don't know if nobody else seen it, but when I first saw the tape, it kind of reminded me of the Houston game. How they did their offense. It's like they were down, but they were still in the heavy personnels, still drop back passing. Still, play action passing while they were down. Like they didn't truly get to throw open, got to score, got to move the ball down the field until the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter. So we have to play sound football up to that point if we're up by who knows how many, or if we're down. Like we have to play sound football until it's time to all right, now they're abandoning the run.
That's Josh Hines Allen's view of what the Arizona offense is right now. And they also have Michael Wilson, who can go get it down the field, who's stepping in. Marvin Harrison unavailable for them today.
Yeah, if prior to last week we would have said, they only have Michael Wilson, right? Michael Wilson just put a career game up there with 15 for 185 and a score. Greg Dortch is a dangerous player as well. And, of course, you got McBride. They just couldn't miss last week in the passing game. But, in terms of making them one-dimensional, the fact that Trey Benson didn't get elevated off of IR this week and it's Bam Knight and Michael Carter back there, I think we'll take that.
Yeah, definitely a team that's trying to run the football but can't really get it done right now in Arizona. But the last thing I want to hear anybody compare the Arizona Cardinals to is the Houston offense right now, because in that fourth quarter against the Jaguars, it didn't go so well. So hopefully they can kind of turn that page a little bit and introduce them to the Arizona Cardinals offense more.
The Jags secondary depleted with injuries but still stepped up in a big way last week. Jarian Jones, part of that, explaining how the Jags can continue to play angry on the defensive side.
I think it's more of like the culture that we kind of built here. I think you can kind of tell the difference in the way that we play. And I don't know how they played before I got here, but in the previous years since I've been here, I think you can kind of see the difference in how we play. I think it's just I think Liam and Camp and everyone does a good job of talking about that edge that we need to play with, and just wearing it every day. So I think that's just kind of when we're all clicking and having fun and not thinking about what will happen if something goes bad. I think you get to see how that edge that we kind of play with.
Jones stepped up big in that game. Braswell stepped up big in the game last week as well in a winning effort against the LA Chargers. Now it's on to Arizona this week. There you have it, some of the best sound of the week. And the Jags have plans for 2028. They'll be back in the bank better than ever. Be among the first to experience the stadium of the future and cement your place in Jags history. Place your deposit now, Jaguars.com/SOTF tickets, and join the future of the Jaguars. Closing in on inactives, about 15 minutes away. But up next, it's a look around the NFL. And Spiro Ditas of CBS Sports has the call, and he'll discuss the bounce-back ability of the Jaguars last week. Kickoff at 4:05 for the Jags and Cardinals. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
At GEHA, we stand behind our members because we were founded by members. We're not focused on Wall Street. We're focused on Main Street. So we've built dental plans with 100% coverage for in-network preventive care, with access to a nationwide network of nearly 600,000 provider locations. GEHA is proud to offer dental plans exclusively for federal employees, federal retirees, and military retirees. Visit GEHA.com to learn more.
Hey, fellow Floridians, I'm Brenda Marie, pet parent to 7 precious pups, and a huge fan of natural gas. Hush, hush, you guys. When it's bath time, we love our natural gas tankless water heater. We get endless hot water when we need it, use less energy, and save money, too. Oh, yes, we do.
Now, earn up to a $700 cashback rebate for installing a new energy-efficient natural gas water heater. To learn more, go to peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The stadium bathroom line. It's like TSA and the DMV merged in the waters of rush hour traffic. And you're in it. No closer to the bathroom than you were 5 minutes ago. Just closer to, going to the bathroom. You know what actually takes a minute? Pre-ordering an Uber so no one drives impaired after the game. Take a minute, make a plan. Never drive impaired. Go to takeaminutenow.com. From Diageo, Mad, Uber, and the NFL. Please drink responsibly.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880 Call 8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
To aim higher, run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA. To not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units. To not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Brought to you by FDOT.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, Austen Lane from the Hyundai Studios. The Publix Tailgate Show continues inside 2 hours until Week 12. The Jacksonville Jaguars 6-4. The Arizona Cardinals 3-7. Kickoff time 4:05 Eastern from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Mike, how about a look around the National Football League?
All right, we'll take a look back first with the Houston Texans positioning themselves just a half game back of the Jaguars in the AFC playoff picture with a 23-19 win over the Buffalo Bills on Thursday. Houston now 6-5, 3-1 record in divisional play. That goes along with a 5-2 mark in AFC games. What all that means is that the Texans will move ahead of the Jags in the AFC pecking order if Jacksonville loses to Arizona today. Of course, a win would vault the Jags over both the Bills and the Chargers to temporarily occupy the fifth spot in the 17 playoff field. Elsewhere, you've got the division-leading Indianapolis Colts with an 8-2 mark on the line in a matchup with the 5-5 Chiefs. And as of seconds ago, the Colts leading this one 14-6, but Kansas City has a first and goal with under 30 seconds remaining in the first half. Finally, the 1-9 Tennessee Titans hosting the 7-3 Seattle Seahawks. Former Jaguar, current Titan Calvin Ridley went on injured reserve this week after suffering a broken fibula in the game last Sunday. Current score is Seattle up 13-3 over Tennessee. Other scores of games in progress, most of these either at the half or rapidly getting there. Pittsburgh and Chicago tied at 14, 2 touchdown passes for Caleb Williams, a defensive score, and a touchdown pass from Mason Rudolph to DK Metcalf for the Steelers. And Mason Rudolph playing for Aaron Rodgers, who was a scratch today with that broken left wrist. The Patriots up on the courtesy of one of their own defensive scores, 14-10 on the Bengals. Hasn't been easy going for the Patriots offense so far in the first half, but they are driving, looking to add to that 4-point lead at the 2-minute warning. The Giants surprisingly up on the Detroit Lions. Wan'Dale Robinson had 4 catches for 106 yards. 13 minutes into the game. That's where he sits right now. Jameis Winston has thrown a pair of TDs for the Giants. They lead at 17-14 at the half in Green Bay. The Packers on top of Minnesota 10-6. And at the half as well, another surprising result. Jets leading the Ravens by a score of 7-3. Tyrod Taylor to John Mechie III for the only touchdown in that game so far. And one other note, Brandon Ayuk, who many Jaguar fans were hoping the team would trade for a couple years back. Ayuk and the 49ers reportedly heading towards a breakup. The impending split coming 15 months after Ayuk signed a 4-year contract extension worth $120 million with San Francisco. Ayuk's been on the physically unable to perform list since July. He suffered a season-ending knee injury last year against the Chiefs in October. Ayuk reportedly failed to show up to meetings, among other team activities over recent months. In response, the Niners decided to void Ayuk's guaranteed money in his contract for the 2026 season, saying that being absent from team events resulted in a failure to fulfill his contractual obligations. And all the word on the street is Ayuk is out in San Francisco.
Wow, that is a rough divorce right there, man.
Wow.
So we got to sign the prenup.
Ayuk signed the prenup. He got all that guaranteed money, and some of it's gone, but at least he got, it's just a weird situation. Remember the story that was that he wanted to be traded, and he didn't want to be traded to New England. It was one of the teams. Look now, he could be catching passes from Drake May, but he turned that down, wanted to go to the Steelers, and at the last minute, he told the 49ers that he would accept their deal. Kyle Shanahan literally, the story goes, sprinted upstairs. I don't know why he didn't use the phone, but he called John Lynch and told him, call the trade off. They were that close to moving him. So
wow, amazing. How would you guys handle somebody not coming to meetings?
Man, I mean, yeah, I would probably take their money away. I mean, I do it. I mean, especially
as a player, how would you deal with a teammate not showing up?
Oh, I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? You have to sit them down, maybe an intervention or something. But like, you're a professional, right? You're getting paid a lot of money. The least you can do is show up to a meeting, especially if you're not even playing in just show up, man. It's nothing, and you're getting paid how much money?
Right, millions.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Spiro Ditas has the call of today's game on the NFL and CBS. He had last week's blowout win also. They have next week's game as well. And the way they rebounded from a loss in Houston, the Jaguars at least, says a lot about this team.
Yeah, I thought it was a significant moment for Liam Cohen and the staff. I thought it was a significant moment for the team because, as you know, when you have an experience, a traumatic experience the way they had the week before against the Texans, that next game is so critical, and I think so often tells you about the character and the makeup of a team. And so to have the performance that they did against the Chargers team, JP, that came in confident, the way that they were playing, they had just knocked off a confident Pittsburgh team the week before. I thought says a lot about the team. I thought it was a big moment for Liam. His message, I think, is clearly resonating. That's always an encouraging sign for a team that's trying to climb the ranks and ascend the way that they are. And I just thought overall, if I'm a Jags fan, really encouraging sign because I think that truly was the significant psychological hurdle that they cleared on Sunday.
Well, the Jaguars defense, put together an incredible performance against one of the top offenses in football. I guess the question now, is that sustainable? Because we've seen some of that this year, but then it's gone away for a while. How do they sustain that moving ahead?
Well, I think when you can affect the quarterback the way that they were able to on Sunday and really defanged an offense that, again, was really starting to play well. I know the Chargers have had O-line issues and protection issues, but Justin Herbert has had a really, all-pro type season, and he just never looked comfortable in that game. And I think when you can do that up front with your front, it masks some issues that you have on the back end. And clearly, Jacksonville right now has some injuries in the secondary in that part of the field that I think is a concern for sure. But if Trayvon Walker, if Josh Hines-Allen can get to the quarterback the way that they did on Sunday, I think it is sustainable. But, we're just going to have to wait and see how they look this week and over the next couple of weeks.
Spiro Ditas with us, CBS Sports. On the offensive side, they had 5 offensive linemen on the injury report last week going into the game. 4 of those, one of those was a starter that didn't play, of course. 4 of them total were starters. But boy, they showed some physicality, didn't they? Almost 200 yards rushing. And that's what this offense, it feels like Liam Cohen said it after the game. That's what they are. They're a physical brand of football up front. And if they're doing that, then they're in pretty good shape with a quarterback balancing him out as well.
Yeah, I think, look, when you, just to your point, I thought the offensive line played really well. I was very impressed with Cole Van Lanen. Last couple of weeks, he's been plugged in at multiple positions and he's performed really well. I think last week he had basically a clean sheet. Didn't allow a sack, didn't allow pressure, was solid in the run game. And so I thought, he acquitted himself very well. And this has always been the thing with Jacksonville, at least in the last couple of years. Their offensive line, they just have never been able to truly figure it out, whether it be injuries, whether it be guys underperforming. And the one thing that I think is most impressive when you look at what Liam and James Gladstone are trying to build is that tough physical brand of football. And I think if you can give Trevor Lawrence an efficient, powerful run game, I think it just takes so much pressure off his shoulders and it balances what they can possibly be offensively. But I remember we had Jacksonville, I think week 2 or 3, JP, when we sat with Liam, first time I had met with him in a setting like that, where he really kind of went through what his offensive philosophy is. We walked out of that meeting thinking, boy, if they can figure this out and put this plan to fruition, they could really have something. And I think his philosophy of physical smash mouth football is something that lends itself to sustainable success in this league. And I thought that second half Sunday was really one of the first times we've seen what it can truly look like on the field and in real time.
Spiro Ditas, CBS Sports, has the call of the Jaguars and the Cardinals. A quick look at Arizona. I mean, this is a beat-up football team. 4 of their 7 captains are on IR this year. They're deep down in the running back room. Of course, the quarterback is Jacoby Brissett now with Kyler Murray on injured reserve. But, hey, Brissett throws 47 completions last week. NFL record. They're up against it. They had to throw it around to try to get back in the game. But Brissett, do they have any spark here in Arizona?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are they're in a bad spot. 2 weeks ago, they were down 35-0 to Seattle before halftime. And the very next week, you get blown out at home again to a division opponent. I mean, that game was never competitive against the 49ers. So a lot of those numbers from Jacoby Brissett, I love Brissett. I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's proven himself to be a very serviceable quarterback in this league for a long time, beloved in every locker room he's been in. A lot of those numbers, if we're being honest, probably a little empty. You're down by 20-plus points. You're just trying to toss it around, like you said, make plays. This was an Arizona team, JP, as you know, that went into the season, year 3 of this regime with Jonathan Gannon and Monty Austen they were expected to contend for a playoff spot. So to look at where they are, 3-7, they've lost 7 of their last 8 games, and now there are real questions about, do they have to move on from Kyler Murray? So I think that they're in a spot that no franchise wants to be in. I think there are a lot of people that expect there to be a potential coaching change. Does Jonathan Gannon even make it to the end of the season? Those are all the questions that they're having to ponder and answer right now in Arizona. Not a fun time to be a fan of the Cardinals.
The exclusive extended interview with Spiro Ditas available on the official Jaguars podcast network. All right, Austen Lane, how about some keys to a Jaguars victory today in Arizona? The Jags 6-4, the Cardinals are not.
So when you think of the Arizona Cardinals, I think of the ultimate team, right? Because even when it's going good, it's like, Arizona Cardinals. When it's going bad, Arizona Cardinals. Oh, yeah, Emmitt Smith played for them. Adrian Peterson was there. This is kind of a team that kind of gets left out of a lot of conversations. And the last thing the Jaguars want to do when they're on their field is go, I forgot that they can be a pretty solid team. So how do you prevent that? You got to run the football, do what you've always been doing, get after Jacoby Brissett when it presents opportunities, and don't let Trey McBride go, all over you, because this guy's very capable of going for, 2 or 3 touchdowns in the game. So back end has to work with the defensive line, have a solid defensive game plan, and obviously offense, run the football, then sprinkle on some Trevor Lawrence every once in a while.
This is why we pay you the big bucks.
Oh, yeah. This is why I'm getting that freelance salary over here.
Huge.
For expert analysis like that. Yeah,
It makes a lot of sense. It certainly does.
Do you remember Adrian Peterson playing for them? Because I didn't.
Very briefly.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember Emmitt.
Yeah, I remember Emmitt. Yeah.
Man, wow. Austen, have a great day.
You too, guys. Appreciate
Austen Lane joining us each and every week here on the Publix Tailgate Show. We'll have him tomorrow, of course, on Jaguars Happy Hour as well. Up next, Inactives, Kai Stevens, John Oehser joining us from the booth in Glendale. 4:05 Eastern kick time for the Jags and Cardinals. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Catch epic showdowns in Cincinnati and Denver. Turn up the heat in Phoenix and Las Vegas. Support your Jaguars in divisional clashes in Houston, Nashville, and Indianapolis. View real-time parking, security, and flight updates on flyjacks.com. Whether you stick with the play call or you need an audible, they'll be your teammate every step of the way. Book your nonstop flights today. Learn more at flyjacks.com.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit ridesmartflorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
New job, new city, new you. Find your fresh start at Point Grand Apartments in Jacksonville and Brunswick. Step into a brand new 2-bedroom apartment with open layouts, sleek finishes, and space to make it your own. Enjoy resort-style pools with cabanas, 24-hour fitness centers, and pet-friendly perks that make every day easier. Live close to work, the coast, and everything you love without the stress. With 8 great locations and endless possibilities, your fresh start begins at pointgrand.com. That's pointgrand.com. Start fresh today.
Are you looking for a way to support those who serve? The Jaguars are proud to partner with VetTix, a national nonprofit doing amazing things for our veterans, service members, first responders, and their families. VetTix has given away over 30 million free event tickets nationwide to a wide range of live events, including Jaguars games. These tickets help reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create lifelong memories. Join us in supporting their vital work. To donate your unused tickets, discover how to become a member, or support their cause, visit vettix.org or firsttix.org today.
Restaurant Orsay is a bustling French-American bistro focusing on classic French techniques with their chefs incorporating a traditional Southern influence. Celebrate life's special moments or just relax and enjoy their daily happy hour. Restaurant Orsay also offers full-service catering for any of your event needs. Restaurant Orsay, located in historic Avondale at 3630 Park Street. Visit www.restaurantorsay.com.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. The Jaguars at 6-4 and the Cardinals at 3-7. It's a Week 12 matchup from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. 4:05 kickoff time today. The inactives are in. The Jaguars have a number of players down for today's game, including Jordan Lewis, Jaguars cornerback, missing another game with a neck issue. Brian Thomas Jr. inactive today for the Jaguars, still battling that ankle problem. Cody Schrader, running back, inactive for the Jags. It's a big one. Defensive end Trayvon Walker will not play with a knee issue. Yasir Abdullah, linebacker, is out. Anton Harrison, right tackle, is out today. Hunter Long, tight end, is out today. The Jaguars do have the services of Brenton Strange. He was added or activated off that injured reserve list this week, and they have a couple of elevations as well. Cameron Silman Craig, the defensive back, and Matt Dickerson, the defensive lineman, elevated from the practice squad.
All right, JP, and for the Cardinals, a few of these guys we knew about heading into this game. They did not elevate Trey Benson yesterday, so he is not going to play this week, and his fellow running back Amari DeMarcado had already been ruled out, as had wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. and linebacker Baron Browning. Additionally, they had hoped to get rookie corner Will Johnson up today. He is inactive, however, alongside safety Dadrian Taylor Demerson, linebacker Xavier Thomas, and defensive lineman Bilal Nichols. That comprises all the inactives for Arizona.
There you have it. From the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power on board gives you the power of a mobile generator. Ford, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today. Let's head to Arizona, State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Kai Stevens, John Oehser joining us in the broadcast booth ahead of this Week 12 matchup. And a lot of talk last week of how the Jags would bounce back from the collapse in Houston. Well, they bounced back pretty well with a dominant performance over the LA Chargers here in Jacksonville. This week, it's how they deal with success, and is this sustainable for the long run? What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, sitting here waiting to go on, I was trying to think of something new to say about this game, right? But, JP, your storyline, some games, the storyline is just obvious. And it's clearly, Kai, how this team can respond to doing well. It's a game on paper they ought to win. It's a game that playoff teams go win. It keeps you in contention. It keeps your playoff status. But it's on the road, and they're really injured. So it's not an easy game, but it's a game that pro football contenders go win.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it that way, it's a game they should win. But their biggest opponent this season has been themselves at times because they commit penalties, they make silly mistakes, and now with the injuries that they have, they don't really have the luxury to do that anymore and try to still battle back in a game. If you make those kinds of mistakes or get into the penalty trouble we've seen them deal with earlier in the season, they're not going to be able to win a football game on the road. So they have to play clean like they did last week, and if they're able to establish the run and do what they did again, they should be able to get a win today.
Yeah, and guys, I think one reason that they are that sort of team that Kai described, which is, you can't commit penalties, get behind the sticks. They have not been an explosive offense, which is sort of how you overcome those things. I think they need a couple of explosives to win today, but it's something that's been lacking really all season.
Yeah, it might have to come from the running game because they're a little bit shorthanded, obviously, at wide receiver today. But I'm interested in one of the tight ends, Brenton Strange. What kind of impact do you think he'll make here in his return after missing 5 games?
Yeah, today I think he's an additive to what they did last week, meaning they were a physical, dominant running team, which is what they are when they're good. I don't know if he can come back in his first week and have the impact that we saw in the first 2 or 3 weeks, but at some point I do think the combination of Brenton Strange and what we saw last week, their already physical identity, is going to be what they hang their hat on down the stretch. Can he do it in his first game, Kai? I don't think we know that.
Well, when John talks about them needing explosives, if I go back and think about the explosive plays that they have had this season, specifically in the running game, Brenton Strange probably sprang most of those for the running backs. Travis Etienne, notably in the Panthers game, had some great blocks elsewhere. But
against San Francisco, too, the same thing. Good point.
Absolutely. For him to be able to come in and set some of those, especially the last game when we saw against the Chargers, there's a couple plays that Tootin almost got out of one and almost got away with an explosive. There's a couple plays that could have been there if Brent was on the field, might have been lined up a little bit differently, and they might have had more of a wider opening to make an explosive play in the run game. So I think that'll definitely be where we see him most, just because as we saw, the success of this team is when they are run heavy right now, as they kind of figure things out with the pieces on offense in terms of wide receivers. But, I wouldn't put it past, at this point, we've seen Jacoby Myers in the system. It's getting a couple weeks. He's clearly got that trust with Trevor, so maybe if something opens up over the middle, we might see something there as well.
Yeah, I definitely think at some point Brenton Strange will be crucial to the passing game because Trevor trusts him so much. Is that there today? It would make things a lot easier if it was.
No doubt. John Oehser, Kai Stevens joining us from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Trayvon Walker out for the Jaguars today. Did not practice all week with a knee issue. How concerning is this up front?
Well, look, anytime Trayvon's not playing, it's a concern because, to me, early in the season, when Brenton Strange was right and when Trayvon Walker was right, that was when they were out physicaling teams. And I think those two guys are the most physical sides, or the most physical presence-bringing guys on both sides of the ball. So when Trayvon's not in, they miss that. But I do think, Kai, they're starting to find that they can get some pass rush from the two rookies.
Yeah, and that's been a huge bonus and a surprise. Obviously, they decided to kind of go young in the middle, and that's where we've seen the most success from the line so far. Coach Cohen's been very upfront about not being happy with the pass rush at times, but we saw a more cohesive version of it last week against the Chargers. Yes, that's a beat-up offensive line, but still to see Strigo and B.J. Green both have some success there. We know Armstead's been good, but it's got to be all of them at the same time. So that's the concern without Trayvon out there. It's how successful can Josh be without Trayvon, and how successful can the line be as a whole if there's a weak spot somewhere. So they just have to work together. We saw it last week. Hopefully they can find a way to do that without Trayvon out there today.
Yeah, that's one of the big questions for the defense today. How do you replace Trayvon? The other one, I think, clearly is how do you deal with Trey McBride? So what's the answer to that?
I don't know. I wish I do. Yeah. I think I'd get paid good money if I did.
Yeah, he's really, really good. I think the key is he's going to get his, just like when you defend Kelsey and when you defend some of the top guys. Those tight ends are going to get theirs. Hold him to one touchdown, hold him to where he's not dominating the game the way Brock Bowers is. Now, the follow-up question to that is how do you do it? Well, is a bad answer, but you guys tell me. No, and it's clearly the key. I think they have to give different looks, like Liam said this week, and you have to pressure the quarterback into a couple mistakes and counter whatever McBride's going to do.
He's going to get his. That is for certain. I think the thing about him is he is a safety blanket. He's very talented, and with the Cardinals dealing with a lot of injuries, he's going to be who Jacoby Brissett wants to go to with the football. So in that regard, if they can get back to getting some takeaways, maybe jumping on some things, trying to be, play towards the football as Coach Camp likes to let them do, look at the football, kind of make anticipatory plays. We saw Jarian Jones do that 2 weeks ago against the Texans. So if he can have something like that with, maybe the DBs or the linebackers can make a play, get a turnover, that'll help the team out a lot. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see 0 stat points from Trey McBride today. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Well, let's hope that I can slow it down a little bit at least today. The Jaguars on the road in Arizona. How's the stadium? What's the setup? What's the vibe out there in Arizona today?
Well, it's a great stadium, and I think this is the second game I've ever covered in Arizona. It's just been a weird quirk in the scheduling of teams I've covered. But it's a fantastic stadium, and I'm not a uniform guy, but a cool uniform combination, all red for the Cardinals and all white for the Jags. You will know which team's which today, Kyle.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, that's how they do it.
The teams are opposite colors.
Yeah, opposite colors.
Okay, I like that. They've got these mini condos in the end zone that I feel like are bigger than most apartments I've ever had, which are pretty cool. And if I don't want to know how much they cost, but they look pretty awesome. And they've got multi-level decks, so that's pretty neat. And of the away stadiums, it's a pretty cool venue to see a game for sure.
Yeah, it's an unbelievably first-rate stadium.
Kai Stevens, John Oehser from State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you guys a little bit later.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Kai and John on Jags AM, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings on Jaguars.com. Plenty ahead. We're back in a moment with a fantasy forecast. Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth as well. And we're inside 20 minutes from Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff starts at 3 o'clock. The Jaguars and the Cardinals kick off at 4:05 in Week 12. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans. This season, feed your fandom with the Jaguars sub from Publix, the official supermarket of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Sink your teeth into crispy chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, melted cheddar, sweet coleslaw, and smoky barbecue mayo, all stacked on a fresh white roll. Taste the hype only at Jacksonville Publix locations. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At GEHA, we stand behind our members because we were founded by members. So with 0 shareholders to mind, we keep our members in mind by offering a health plan for every stage of life. Plus, hearing and fitness discounts. At GEHA, one thing is clear. Your health isn't our business. It's our purpose. That's why we've been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. Visit GEHA.com to find your federal health plan.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Ride Now Beach Boulevard is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars football fires up your Sundays, and a Yamaha boat brings on-the-water thrills to get you through the other 6 days of the week. Check out the extensive Yamaha boat selection at Ride Now Beach Boulevard in Jacksonville or online at RideNowBeachBoulevard.com. Their prices will not be beat. You and the Jaguars can both win this season. Just mention Jaguars at the time of your purchase. Go Jags!
Brooks Rehabilitation is proud to be the official rehabilitation partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are here for them, and we are here for you. Ranked #1 physical rehabilitation hospital in Florida by U.S. News and World Report, our playbook is individualized treatment and exceptional care to get you back to living your life. Brooks has cutting-edge technology and therapy solutions in every care setting, treating sports injury, orthopedics, brain, spinal injuries, and more. Go beyond your expectations with Brooks Rehabilitation.
Hey, fellow Floridians.
We're the Wombles. We're retirees with 5 grandkids.
And huge fans of natural gas. When the kiddos visit from Ohio, we go through towels like pool water. That's why we love our natural gas dryer. It dries in a jiff.
So we use less energy and save money, too.
Yep.
Now earn up to a $300 cashback rebate when you install a new energy-efficient natural gas dryer. To learn more, go to peoplesgas.com/rebates.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios. The Jags at 6-4, the Cardinals 3-7. Kickoff time 4:05 Eastern at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And we're inside 15 minutes away from countdown to kickoff on the Jags Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida, the #1 university and the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. Early games are underway. How about a fantasy forecast / update?
All right, let's get you caught up first, JP. Thank you. Low scoring in Kansas City, 14-9. Indianapolis on top of the Chiefs. It's all field goals for Kansas City there. Daniel Jones has thrown for 112 yards and a pair of touchdowns. One of those to Michael Pittman Jr. and one of those to Drew Ogletree, who no one, not even his parents, probably have in a fantasy lineup today. Pittsburgh leading Chicago without Aaron Rodgers. That one's 21-17. Mason Rudolph is only 10 of 11, threw an interception, but for only 86 yards. Caleb Williams has thrown a couple of touchdowns for the Bears in this one to Colston Loveland, most recently an early one to DJ Moore. Patriots on top of the Bengals. That one 17-13, so a little bit lower scoring from the Patriots side than many thought this would be. Drake May 10-16 with 1 touchdown. That one going to Hunter Henry earlier in the first half. The Jets are hanging in there with Baltimore, but Derrick Henry just took one in from a couple of yards out to give the Ravens a 10-7 lead in that game. Tyrod Taylor getting the start at quarterback for New York. He's thrown for 107 yards. John Mechie III with the touchdown reception for the Jets in that. Sam Darnold just hooked up with Jackson Smith and Jigba a few moments ago for their second touchdown connection of the day. And Jigba on the day, 6 catches, 155 yards to go with those 2 scores. Seattle leads at 23-3. Vikings trail the Packers 17-6. And it's Emmanuel Wilson in place of the injured Josh Jacobs. 17 carries, 62 yards, and a pair of scores on the ground for Green Bay. Meanwhile, Jameis Winston and company keeping it interesting with the Detroit Lions as the Giants lead this one 20-17 in the third quarter. Very early there, Wan'Dale Robinson, 6 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown. He had 106 and a touchdown in the first quarter of this game. In the late afternoon window, as far as inactives are concerned, Dylan Gabriel is out, we know, for Cleveland, so Shador Sanders gets the first start of his career in the Cleveland Raiders matchup. Philadelphia at Dallas, Devontae Smith did not travel with the team, but he is expected to play. It was due to personal reasons. Atlanta at New Orleans, Drake London had been ruled out earlier this week. Michael Penix placed on IR as he gets ready for ACL reconstruction. Alvin Kamara officially questionable. Their inactive's not due for 5 minutes. He is expected to be active for that game. Sunday Night Football tonight. The Athletic's Diana Rossini reporting that Bucs wideout Chris Godwin is expected to return to the lineup for Tampa. He's only played twice this year, officially questionable. Bucky Irving is out. Sean Tucker expected to have a big role for the Bucs in that, and pretty clean on Monday Night Football, but an interesting opportunity because Bryce Young, who threw for 448 last week, goes against the team that allowed 452 to Jacoby Brissett in the San Francisco 49ers. So could be some fireworks in the passing game there.
There you have it. Fantasy forecast and update is in from Mike Dempsey. And the Jaguars broadcast booth is presented by Heritage of North Florida, Jacksonville's premier roofing and remodeling company. Let's head there now. Glendale, Arizona, State Farm Stadium. Frank Frangie will have the call of the Jaguars-Cardinals matchup. And Jags team is 6-4. Well, they've got to prove they're real. Coming off a really great blowout win last week. Can they sustain it this week on the road? I think is the big question, Frank.
Yeah, JP, good afternoon to you and Mike, and that's exactly right. They've proven they can handle adversity. Can they handle success? I mean, they were about as good last week as we all know, JP, as you can possibly be. Can they build on that? They played that game with an edge. They were ticked off, and Liam Cohen talked about that afterwards. Well, now this has letdown game written all over it. but are they mature enough not to let that happen? I think they are, and I think that's really, to your point, JP, a key storyline today.
Well, Frank, I know you're talking about kind of that mental edge that the Jags had last week. They'll be missing an actual edge today in Trayvon Walker. How big of a loss is that?
Oh, it's a big loss. I thought he played very well last week, and as you know, Mike, after Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, it's either veterans who haven't affected the game very much. Ogba probably will be down again. Smoot has not had a great year. And young guys, Denny Strigo, B.J. Green. So you need those two edges. I think it's a big factor now. It's on Anthony Campanile to come up with ways to make up for that. And look, the Cardinals don't run it very much, Mike. As you know, he completed 47 passes. That's a league record, did Jacoby Brissett a week ago. They're going to throw a bunch of passes. They're going to drop back a bunch, so you got to affect the quarterback. So to your question, no, I think it's a big loss for Jacksonville. I truly do.
Frank Franchi with us from State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Jaguars still with the same idea in the secondary today as well, with Jordan Lewis unavailable today. Of course, probably another week or so at least for Eric Murray on the back end. So last week they played pretty well, though, in the secondary. The guys that had to step in, Greg Newsome left the game. He's available today, which is good news. But some younger guys getting some action out there in the secondary last week.
You know, JP, it really is interesting how many guys are playing key roles starting for this team that at the beginning of the season you never expected would factor into their game, right, or into the season. Now, look, that's the NFL. It's next man up. I get it. But nobody expected that we'd look up one day and Antonio Johnson and Dewey would be the safeties, and Christian Braswell and Jarian Jones and Monteric Brown would have these gigantic roles, right? So just like the receiving corps is the same way, it looks so much different than we thought it was going to in August. And that's the way the NFL is. But I agree with you. I thought they played well last week. And again, as I said to Mike a minute ago, the Cardinals are going to throw the football. That's who they are. They're down a bunch of running backs. Jacoby Brissett's a veteran who's been all over this league. He's on his sixth team. That secondary is going to be active today, JP, and they better be good again.
Frank, last week the Jags were able to run the ball. They protected Trevor Lawrence very well. I thought Cole Van Lannon was a big part of that. How fortunate are they to have a guy who's as versatile as he is and able to play at the level he played at last week?
Mike, they rave about him, man. So much so that when everybody is back healthy, they're not completely sure what to do because he might be one of the best five. So you're exactly right. Cole Van Lannon, and he's a masher, man, as a run blocker in that right tackle spot for a team that wants to run the football. To your point, that's who they are. Liam Cohen said that before he ever coached a game here, that's who they would be as a team that runs the football. And as we've seen 10 games in, that's who they have to be, right? So I agree with you, Mike. Cole Van Lannon is a guy that is one of the really unsung heroes of this team, and they love the fact that he goes in there. Now he's got to play for Anton again today, so they don't miss much. I promise you in the run game they don't miss anything, so they're very pleased with Cole Van Lannon, absolutely.
Frank Franchi with us in Glendale, Arizona, and the connection we can see growing before our eyes with Trevor Lawrence and Jacoby Myers, the newly acquired wide receiver, settled in pretty nice last week on some key third down plays.
Isn't it funny, JP, we were just talking about the secondary a minute ago, that when this season started, it was Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, and Travis Hunter, right? Three fast guys, right? Now it's Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, and Tim Patrick will probably start the game. Three guys that aren't super fast but are physical. They run crossing routes. They catch the ball. And I agree with you. It really starts to feel like Jacoby Myers, who they really were excited about getting, might become wide receiver one. He might become the guy that gets the most targets. He runs crisp routes, JP, and he catches the football, man. And look, let's be honest. Early in the season, that was an issue. Not catching the football cost him a game or two, right? Now you got guys that catch the football, and Jacoby Myers leads the class there. Boy, does he catch the football. You can just watch him prepare his hands, man. He can catch the football for sure.
And that's when Trevor Lawrence was at his best in the playoff run, when he had those reliable guys. Zay Jones and Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones, of all people, was a 6-yard and catch the ball, and that's what you would get. But that's what he needed. Frank, have a great day and bring back a win, will you?
All right, fellas, thank you.
We're counting on
Frank.
you today, Frank. He's going to play big today. Frank Franchi's going to have a great call. And the Jaguars are going to knock off the Cardinals today in Week 12. 6-4 record for the Jaguars heading out west. We'll see if they can handle that success from last week's blowout win over the L.A. Chargers. Up next, it's Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff. We'll hear from Fred Taylor. And, yes, we'll have the final word before kickoff with Jags head coach Liam Cohen. 4:05 kickoff time. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.